G'day YouTube, my name's Lance. Welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, the weather report. Look, it's 14 to 27 and look, we've just come home from holidays and it's really dry here. Look, I suppose we've been up tropical North Queensland, but even out through towards Winton and some of those places, they're greener than we are here. And so 14 to 27, no rain, but it looks cloudy today, and yeah, it'd be nice if we did get a bit of rain. There's fire warnings, there's fires out west now. And yeah, we come home and the old orchard, some of the little citrus trees had dropped the leaves from stress, from drying out. Now, I gave them a good water before we went away. But yeah, look, that wasn't enough. So the last couple of days I've been putting a bit of time into watering the orchard, and I've got the 100,000 litre pod out and about again. So I can fill from the dam because the tanks on the house are getting a bit low. So we've probably got a third of a tank in each tank there, but on the weekend we've actually swung one of the toilets over to dam water and oh, it looks terrible. The dam water has tannin and that in it from things rotting in the dam. It's like a cup of tea nearly, not quite that dark, but a weak cup of tea. And when you put it in the toilet, it sort of stains the porcelain a bit, and Jude's always scrubbing. But anyway, that's just life when you have to have tank water. Pardon me, tank water in your toilet. Your toilet looks like you haven't washed it in ages. Looks like an old public one. Some of the ones like we come across when we're away. We got back from holidays Thursday night, and I've spent Friday, Saturday, Sunday unpacking, putting things back where it is. Everything needs a wipe. It's very dusty and dirty. That red dirt gets in everywhere, and I've had to I've had to polish the ute. I come back, I pressure cleaned the ute. All the canopies and all that got a pressure clean, then a soapy wash. And even though the ute's got like a ceramic coating on it, there was still a couple little stains where like a bird's pooped on it, or just the red dirt gets in. So I've hand polished the whole cabin so far, and I've done inside all the door jambs, and oh, the little creases and seams that red dirt got into, just unreal. The door seals and all that sealed well on the ute, and the rubbers I put on the canopy, new door rubbers on the canopy before we went away, they worked a treat. So we didn't really get any dust in the canopy or in the cabin. Yeah, it was just mainly outside, and all the bug guts and all the grill and all that. I still need to finish off doing the bull bar. The wheels need a polish now. I've washed them, but they're sort of yeah, they just need a polish, you know, just to tidy up, get the red out of them. The tyres have got this red dirt all over them. I'll pressure clean them again yet, give them a scrub and all that. So, but all in all, the ute went well. I've got a big bullseye from a rock coming up, and I've got a couple of beauty stone chips across the bonnet from where cars coming the other way have flicked up rocks. And funny enough, the bullseye was when we got back onto the bitumen. So I mean, that's just how it goes. No use whinging. A few figures here I've just worked out before. In the 4.5, 5 weeks we were away, we did 6,228 kilometres, points. We used 908 litres worth of diesel, and for the average for the trip, we used 14.58 litres per 100 kilometres. Now that's a little bit higher than normal. Usually we run on about 13.89 litres per 100 k's. But a couple of reasons for that. Look, we probably did around 600 kilometres of dirt corrugations, and to do that, it took me a couple of goes to get the tyres down. Normally I run on about 50 pound, 55, 60 on the back because of the canopy and the drawer system, and all the toolboxes are full and things like that. So yeah, I dropped them down to 40, and then it was still jarring. So I ended up down to 30 on the front and 35 on the rear. And I probably could have went down to 25 on the front, I feel. But yeah, you're on these corrugations for hours and hours at a time, and doing 70 and 80 kilometres an hour. And you go along the main road there, and it's that rough on the road. People have put tracks up the table drain on the side, so we used them, and we were down there into the table drains, and they were often quite smoother. Sometimes a bit more bull dust, but a bit smoother. The only place in Australia I've ever seen signs on the side of the roads, dust holes ahead. And yeah, it just looks like a normal road, but where the pothole is, it's just full of dust. And you know, fucking dust goes everywhere. Dust goes all over the place. So, yeah, look, we had a great trip. The only thing that went wrong with the Land Cruiser was I got a chip in the windscreen, and coming back down into Cowan, for some reason the big sliding drawer at the back came open. Now, there's two things can have happened. One, I didn't shut it properly, which is probably highly likely. And the other one was, I keep the guy ropes for the awnings and all that in there, and I was wondering, did one of them come across, and without it being locked properly, it's turned it. But like, we've been driving for quite a few hours for the day, and just as we were coming into Cowan, yeah, the drawer come open. But look, that was it for us. Dave in his Ranger, he towed a 13-foot T-Rex caravan up there, and look, they're a little Chinese caravan. They get a bit poo-pooed because they're Chinese caravans, but that caravan didn't miss a beat, you know. Didn't really leak a lot of dust in. He put a dust suppression system on the roof, which was a big scoop with a paper element filter on the top to keep the cabin pressurised to stop the dust getting in. But he blew that filter out a few times, but in the end the filter was just past what it could do. And so he's going to try and, they're $65 per filter, and there was none up there for sale, I believe. So he's going to find a little flat panel filter to go in the Dometic cab pressuriser. He had, we're just heading into Weipa, and he jumped on the two-way and he said, oh, me dash is just all lit up. And what it was on there's that much dust up there. Yeah, we have the snorkels out the side, so we have a raised air inlet, but we're putting foam. You can buy a proper foam sock for them, an air cleaner sock, and you wash it out in soapy water. Then from motorbike days, I had a can of air cleaner oil, and you give it a quick spray across the front there, and you know, scrunch it into the foam, and that would give you a first line of defence for all the dust. And what had happened, we'd cleaned them out the night before in Cowan, and yeah, getting into Weipa, there was that much dust and bull dust and that on the road that his blocked up. And what it did, it actually, the Ford Ranger have a snorkel on the side and it's got a big flat panel in it. It actually sucked that in. So the engine was still sucking, but with the dirt restriction up the top there, it actually started sucking the snorkel in. Then so the electronics said, look, you're not getting enough air in to run the engine properly. So the dash lit up, and Dave's a mechanic, and he sort of knew what was going on. So he turned it off, let it reset, pulled the snorkel sock off. He had a spare there, so he put the spare on, and that got us into town. The car reset and never had any troubles again. And I think he had an aerial problem of some sort. And he had spotties come loose on the front, which he had to tighten up. And on the caravan at the front there, where the gas regulator is, there's a little bracket there that come loose. A couple of screws vibrated out from the corrugation. So that went well. My other friend Mick and Marg, they had it's about a 3-year-old Isuzu D-Max. The car went well. They have a Bushman rooftop tent on it. It was about $8,500. It's the top of the range thing, and look, it went really well. A lot of people come to look at it. Mick built his own canopy on the back, and it looks professionally done. And the rooftop tent and all went great. The ute went well. First, when we hit the corrugations, his UHF aerial broke off, a fiberglass whip, and it just broke. So when we got into Weipa, we found a four-wheel drive shop and we put a new aerial on there, but we put a wire one on to see if that was any different. Well, first 100 kilometres, he didn't even notice it. Like, and where the wire goes into the top, he actually checked the screws, made sure it was tight, and it just disappeared. So third time lucky up in Bamaga, he got another fiberglass one, and that come good. One of his spotlights fell off, as in the side mount brackets, and then the main bracket come loose, and it was just a bastard to get up in there, and it wore into his grill a little bit. But yeah, he's fixed that now. He said, once we've got home, had a look. So all in all, the cars went well. Yeah, we didn't have any mechanical issues or anything at all. And we're all mechanics. We'd lay under them, we'd have a look, we'd check wheels for the first couple of days and things like that. So look, it was a great trip. Yeah, we went from here to Barracrab, which is sort of south of Mackay, the first night. And it was a bit windy, but anyway, that was all right. We didn't mind too much. Then to Bowen. Yeah, I think it was Bowen from there. And then we started heading north, and I can't think of where we went in the meantime there. But from Bowen, we went to Etty Beach. From Bowen to Etty Beach, which is near Tully, and then we're going to stay up at Rifle Creek Free Camp on the side of the road. But we're at Malanda, and we're having a look, and Jude says, I think it's only 189 up to the Lions Den up near Cooktown. And we thought, I thought it'd be further than that. But anyway, we're just at Malanda looking at the waterfall, and we're having a chat about it. And I said to Dave, I said, we could make that this Arv, and Mick was there too. And he said, well, what are we doing here? And so Mick was the same. Yeah, let's go. But what happened was Jude looked at a Wikicamps thing, and it said it was 189 kilometres from us. But Wikicamps uses as the crow flies, and that was 180 k's northeast of us. But when you actually put it into the GPS on the dash, it was about 300 kilometres, about 280 something. And so we headed off, and we thought, well, there's 3 hours drive. It was going to be a short day, but it ended up being a long day. And so we added another 3 hours travel, all bitumen, and got up to the Lions Den Hotel, which is a pretty iconic pub. Look, it's overcooked. So much fuss about it. When you get there, it's a nice country pub, nice atmosphere, nice meal, pardon me, good grog, and the camping area is pretty ordinary. We went there and they took our money. They said, go and find a spot and come back and see us. So we went down, and well, we looked every nook and cranny, and we ended up, Mick got under one tree. Dave found a little place for his caravan, sort of on the side of the track. Probably shouldn't have parked there, but people could get past. And then I was going to go up on a hill near the toilets, and then Mick said I could probably fit down near him, so we went down there. Then they took our money, and we're going to stay for 2 nights. And so we had dinner, and through the night, Jude got crook, like a tummy bug. She had, she was having a bit of a vomit and diarrhoea, and so she's back and forth up and down to the toilets, poor bugger. And the next day, she was just knackered. So we're sort of glad that we had the second day there. And the second day, we were going to base ourselves at Lions Den and go to Cooktown and have a look, but Jude was crook, so we just stayed around and went up for a beer and mucked around. But look, the place was overpacked with people, and sort of down near our camp you could smell the septic, and there was these puddles on the driveway, and this is what I think happened to Jude maybe. There's puddles on the driveway and you had to step around them and that. So the next day while we were there, they got an excavator in and they cleaned out some of the puddles, some of the slop, and they brought a bit of road base in and put over the top. But just up from our camp there was a puddle. They cleaned that out, put road base on it, and they didn't have enough to fill the hole properly, which was no worries. But over the next couple of hours that hole filled up again and it smelt like the septic. So what we think happens was, because of the amount of people, like the powered campsite was full. They had the Land Rover fellas there, like a Land Rover Exploring Club there. They had groups of motorbikes, and 20 motorbikes in a group doing motorbike tours, paid motorbike tours. $6,000 each to tag along behind some of them. a lot of money. But the place was just absolutely chockers, and the amenities obviously couldn't handle it. And yeah, up the back there, you just had this dunny smell all the time, and that's where Jude was crook. And we sort of we tried to move up a little bit closer and got Dave in close, but yeah, look, pretty piss poor in the camping department. But the pub and all was good. Yeah, we shared a pizza for tea at the pub, and I wasn't crook at all, but Jude was, so who knows. Yeah, we hand sanitise and do all that, so she just got crook, so that was a bit of a downer for a day, but well, she come good, and then from there we hit the road again and filled up at Lakeland Roadhouse, and we headed up to Cowan. And the road into Cowan, that's when it started getting rough. You know, we stopped at Hahn River Roadhouse for a cuppa and a sandwich, and yeah, coming into Cowan, the road was that washed out. You had to wait and go on the other side of the road and pick your way through this big washout. And coming out the other side of this washout, there's a road train, and the road train's roaring along. So I got on the two-way and I said, oh, yeah, copy in the road train. He said, yeah, mate. I was a Land Cruiser and two others, there's three of us in our group, and we'd like to come past you. Can you let us know when it's right to go? And we're just talking, and this car come around, you could not see shit, absolutely nothing. And this bloody, I think it was a Triton, come around, the three of us and the road train, and just kept going, no two-way, no nothing, and no wonder bloody accidents happen, eh? So anyway, old mate in the two-way's calling him a dickhead, and he says, look mate, yeah, he said, come around, you're clear to come around, but he said, I'll be here a while. He says, I'm only doing 10 kilometres an hour. So he said, I'm going to be here a while. So there's this poor bugger in this semi. So you got your prime mover, which is your tractor, trailer, the tractor, yeah, the power part. I think they call them tractor trailers in America. We just call them the prime mover, then, you know, your ABC trailer. And so here's a prime mover with three 40-foot trailers on behind, doing 10 kilometres an hour. And he had a few hours ahead of him, poor old mate. And as we were coming up into Weipa, we went from, we got to Cowan, camped at Cowan. Oh, bloody, camped at Cowan, and this lady comes up to us and said, oh, can you help us level the caravan out, please? So we went down, Dave and Mick went down, and here's this Dodge Ram 1500 with this big caravan on the back, and she said, I need a bit of help with it. It's just me and the kids here. The husband's up in the lockup in jail in Cowan. And we're thinking, oh shit, what's going on here? And anyway, apparently he got on the grog a bit, and him and her were having a bit of a fight. And then some other bloke in the caravan park there said, hey, you know, you shouldn't be talking to her like that. And he was going to flatten him. And so I think, yeah, the piss got to him a bit, I think. And so we helped her out, and off we went on our way. And anyway, pardon me, a little while later we run into him at Weipa, and yeah, Margaret said, oh, here you go, and they sort of recognised each other and had a chat, and she says, oh yeah, we're back on the thing. She says, this has always been his dream to do this, so he can have his dream if he stays off the grog. So so old mate and his missus and kids, they were back on the road doing the trip to the Cape, but he wasn't allowed to drink because he couldn't handle it, obviously. So but then we got to Weipa, stayed 2 nights at Weipa. Dave and Jody had never been to a rodeo, so they went to a Weipa rodeo, and we caught a taxi to the club in Weipa, and Mars Taxis, I think it was. And look, $8, and there they take you out to the club and all that. It was cheap as chips. And anyway, we're at the club and we're thinking, well, we're hitting the road tomorrow. Let's stock up on grog, you know, buy another carton of cans each, carton of beer. I was drinking Great Northern Super Crisp, so was Mick, and Dave was drinking 4X Gold cans, and all's cans so they don't break and that. And so we finished lunch at the club, and yeah, getting ready to go, and there's a bottle shop there. So we went out to the bottle shop, and while we were waiting for the taxi, we thought, oh well, we'll get a carton of cans each. Go around there and they say, look mate, you can't do that here. And we says, what? Can't buy a carton of grog? They said, no, unless you drive through. You're not allowed to walk up to the bottle shop and get a carton of beer. well, so you're joking? He says, no, he says, that's the rules for Aboriginals, because the Aboriginals have alcohol restriction areas because it causes so much domestic violence and things like that, and weepers in there. So so we thought, oh shit, what do we do here? And he says, well, you've got to come in a car, which, you know, we were all set up. So we hit the old taxi driver up and we said, hey, let's go through the Bottle. And so in the van, like it's a maxi taxi, you know, because there were 6 of us and the driver, he said, yeah, no worries. So we drove the taxi into the bottle shop, slid the door open, 3 of us hopped out, bought a carton of cans each, put them in the car and drove off. Same bloke served us. We had to hop out of the taxi and walk in and order what we wanted and put it back in, but because we walked in without a car, we weren't allowed to have grog. So and we had some funny things with alcohol over the time. You're only allowed a 30 pack of cans up, probably north of the Jardine River, just as a rough estimate, and 2 litres of wine. And yeah, we even in Cooktown, like on the way down, Mick thought he'd go and grab an extra carton, and pardon me, for our next camps, and he went to the bottle shop in Cooktown, and they said, no mate, we can't serve you here, you've got to be a drive-through. And he said, really? They said, yeah, but if you go down to the IGA down the corner, it's got a grog shop in there, you can walk into the supermarket and buy grog there. So we walked 200 yards and just walked in, and I bought like half a dozen bottles of red wine and a carton of cans, and yeah, no troubles at all. So it's just funny rules. But anyway, we had a great trip, 5 days Punson Bay. Yeah, Weeper to Bramwell Station. Bramwell Station, they got a couple of comedians there, and it's good camping, but oh, bloody blowy. In the wet season, pardon me, where the campground is, that's the highest part, and the feral pigs get in there, and they root it all up, and so they've had to get bobcats and that in and smooth it all out for campers again, and not a lot of grass cover. So if you go into Bramwell Station, you have the bar and where you eat and all that over here. Try and camp. Should have camped over near the bush, but we didn't. We camped behind that, not knowing. And then the wind come through that night, and holy dooly, blowing the curtains in. It was a bloody windy joint, and yeah, dust up your nose and in your eyes. Yeah, you had sunnies on, and yeah, dust in your eyes. It was very dusty. But yeah, we went from there then across the Jardine Ferry up to Punson Bay, where we stayed for 5 days. And yeah, look, we did we went up and walked to the tip. I think I probably should be able to chuck a photo in here of us all standing on the tip. Got our photos done there, and then yeah, we booked a helicopter. Jude and I had the smaller flight because Jude had never been in a helicopter before, and she wasn't sure how she'd go with it. So we had a shorter flight. We had the 10-minute flight, but Mick and Margaret and Dave and Jody had the 20-minute flights. And look, it was great. It was $525 or something like that for 10 minutes. And yeah, you lift off at Punson Bay and you fly over the creeks, and yeah, we saw a big croc down in the creek there. And yeah, look, it was a great thing. Flew over the tip, and they had no doors on the helicopter, so you put your seatbelt on and he kicks you down to get some photos and all that. So look, it was great. Yeah, good bit of fun. Jude didn't mind it, but then when it come Dave and Jody's turn, well, Jody come out and well, yeah, she just wasn't comfortable. They had the longer flight and she wasn't comfortable with it, and they paid, probably an extra $100 each or more, yeah. But yeah, and Jody was glad to get her feet back on the ground again. And we did the 3-island tour, and you leave Seisha, which is a little town on the western side of Cape York, near Bamaga, and yeah, we went and saw Horn Island and went to the War Museum there. Really well worth doing. And then we went up to Thursday Island. And yeah, you get something in your head. I thought Thursday Island would be Aboriginal communities and, you know, a bit rough, but it's all government, customs houses, and just about everyone up there works for government, and there's apartment buildings and everything's quite modern and flash. yeah, and they took us through the grave, the cemeteries, and some of the elders, you know, the popular fellas up there that had done things for the community. Their headstones are marble, and they were just beautiful. I've never seen a cemetery with such nice headstones and things like that in it. The grounds was rough, you know, not manicured like we see here, but the headstones were beautiful. And went to the Bowls Club for lunch and went back to the pub for a beer on the way. Got a taxi. The taxi was $8 or something or other, just nothing. And yeah, coming back in the boat, well, was it rough. And we're there with a couple of Victorians, a couple of toffee old tarts. There was 3 couples. We were 3 couples and they had 3 couples. And they were a bit uppity, these old Sheilas. And yeah, they let everyone know if something wasn't quite right, or they were sitting where they could smell fumes or something like that. Yeah, anyway, they're bits of grizzlies. And anyway, coming back, we're just bang through this waves, and I mean, and it was bloody rough, and had to have the sides down because water was splashing in, and yeah, Dave was hoping we went down and the wave come across the top a bit to wet all these old Sheilas that had to be at the back for fresh air and all that stuff. But it was funny, and yeah, it was a bloody rough trip. And these old girls were saying, I'm starting to feel sick. I don't think, is it always this rough? And the bloke says, it's not even rough yet, you know, compared with what he does, but it was bloody rough. Yeah, there's a young bloke skipper and the older bloke, and yeah, when it got rough, the old bloke took over, the older fella. But yeah, look, great company to deal with. They were nice people. They worked it well. It was $1,800 for 3 of us, for 3 couples, 6 people, $300 each for the day. And you had to buy your lunch and things like that. But look, it was good. And coming back, we went to Roko Island. Well, what a show. I had a good laugh. And yeah, you're met by this bloke, Nigel. Nigel's got the Crocodile Dundee knife on the belt, the shorts, his shirt open, and yeah, like a Yeti cup, a stainless steel cup about so high, so round, probably held a litre of home brew, and he's drinking his home brew. And yeah, come on, g'day everyone, there you go, and walk up the bloody plank there, and I'll see you in a minute. And look, going to Roko Island, you come to this walkway, and it's got bits of timber across with 44-gallon drums, 205 litre drums. So there'll be 2 this side, 2 that side, then there'll be a gap and another 2, and it floats with the water. And as the ripples come in, it's bloody hard to walk on. And you can see where they'd patched it up, and they'd used some boards off Shep pellets and Lozcam pellets. And once you get about halfway into shore, there's a rope on the side and you can hang on, but out the front there's no rope, and you just got to walk on this thing about as wide as a pallet, and with it going up and down. It's like the rides at the show, and Jude was thinking, shit, I hope I don't fall in. And but it was bloody hard. I had to take my sunnies off because they're multifocal sort of things, and you didn't know where you were stepping, so I had to take them off and put them in my pocket so I could actually see where I was stepping, because yeah, as it's coming up and down, you'd put your foot to go down and there's nothing there. Next thing, bang, there it is. And but anyway, we got up the back there, and there's a cocktail bar, and yeah, real Gilligan's Island looking stuff. And yeah, it's an old diamond, old pearl farm, and yeah, they had pearls set out on the tables you could buy, and tourist shirts and all that sort of thing. And yeah, we had a cocktail each sort of thing, and I just had a beer. But yeah, then Nigel takes us for a walk, and he must be a talented prick. He's made these toilets and showers out of stone, and they are just bloody beautiful, you know, really nice. He's done some nice work. And anyway, we did the tour, and there's a whole group of us there, and he's showing us these showers and showing us where the toilets are, and they're beautiful, beautiful stonework. And you know, stained timber doors, and just bloody lovely. And anyway, we're following him around, and he'd forget what he was saying. Oh, blah, blah, he'd say, and someone would say, how much is it to stay here, Nigel? Because they had these glamping tents that overlooked the ocean. And he said, I don't know that shit, he says. Hop on one of them computer boxy things and bloody have a look there. He says, I don't know shit about that. but he's the caretaker, and when it's the off season, there's no one there. He's there on his own. And yeah, there's an old boat up the back there, and someone says, "What's that boat up there, Nigel?" Because it had the wheels off. "Oh, don't worry about that." He says, "It's effed." And these old girls, you can see their hair. It's bloody what? And he's rough as bags, but I got a laugh out of him. And we're going down this little walk where he saw a croc one time, and he's saying about the nurses from Thursday Island coming along, and he said, "Oh, they come over here and we get on the cocktails," and he said, "Oh, we just have a blast for the weekend, you know." And he's saying we're out here one night, coming out here, and they walk past and they come back, and this bloody crocodile took off and scared shit out of them. And I was near these old girls from Victoria, and they're saying, "I bet all the word quickly get around to Thursday Island and no one will be coming out here to put up with this bloke." And but they did, you know. It was just a funny thing. And anyway, we're back. We got back on the mainland, and talking to the helicopter blokes, and Blocker and anyway, Blocker and his missus. I should know. I was talking to her for ages, and he says, "Oh yeah, Nigel." He says he comes over here. He said that home brew he drinks, because before we went for a walk, Nigel said, "I've got to go and top up." So he goes in this room and comes out with his glass full. Yeah, Blocker says, he said, "Look, old Nigel, I reckon he goes through 65 litres of home brew a week. That's all he drinks. He doesn't drink water or anything like that." And he said if he jumps in a boat and comes across to Seisha or Punson Bay, he's always got a keg with him, a keg of home brew. And he said even on his quad bikes, you know, he's got it set up on his quad bike and he rides around with that on it. So, but he said, yeah, he comes over, plays up at the Punson Bay Resort now and then, and they got to straighten him up a bit, you know, pull him into line a little bit. But look, that was good fun. And yeah, Bamaga Hotel, being an Aboriginal community, out the front, it doesn't look very appealing. And we're coming past and we saw some people go in there, and I said, "Oh, let's go in there and see what it's like for lunch," you know. So, and the girls are saying, "Oh, you sure? You know, we wouldn't go in here if you weren't here with us." And I said, "Well, come on, let's go and have a look." Went inside, it's bloody beautiful. Really nice inside. It just looks shit from the outside. You could walk up to the bottle shop there and buy a carton of cans. A carton of 4X Gold cans was $97. I didn't buy any, I didn't need any alcohol. At Punson Bay, the resort where we stayed, it was $120 for a carton of cans, and I was buying Cab Sav red wine that was should have been about $20 a bottle for $50 a bottle, and a schooner of beer. Schooner of beer was $9.50. So, but we had a couple of sessions up the pub, and look, it was a bloody nice place. But yeah, coming back down, fuel on Thursday Island was $2.85 a litre. The most fuel used is petrol over there for the outboard motors. Fuel at Bramwell Station Roadhouse was $2.85 a litre. Fuel at Bamaga Servo, as you go, as you head, you come into Bamaga and you head towards the Cape, there's a big BP there, it's $2.70 a litre. And $2.70 at Cowan as well. So yeah, fuel's up there a bit, but you know, it's like beer cans, you've got to have them. So, but yeah, we come down. We did stay at Atherton, and look, I got a message from a friend that said, could I call in and see his dad? But coming into Atherton, I ended up getting a head cold, a flu sort of thing. And well, it was a pain in the arse. Yeah, I was up nights just coughing, you know, coughing up, because of the moist air, I was just coughing up phlegm and having me asthma puffer, and had a few shit days, but so I didn't go visiting anyone. But we did have a look around, went to the chocolate factories and the, you know, the air cave, you know, the crystal cave in air and things like that. And come back down, went out to Nebo, saw nephew Ray, and we spent 3 days at Barracrab on the way home, just as a bit of a relax, you know, day's drive from home sort of thing. And every afternoon, you know, 40, 50 kilometre an hour winds, it was just bloody windy. And I'm sort of pretty well over the head cold, whatever it was I got, but I'm still chesty because of it. But yeah, look, all in all, it was a great trip. A few things I'm going to change with our setup. I mean, camping out of the back of the ute, sleeping in the canopy for so long, is a bit painful. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, we take it to tractor shows and things like that for 2 or 3 nights, it's okay. But when you're sleeping out of it for 5 weeks, you get a bit over it. Jude wasn't worrying too much, but I was sort of getting a bit sick of it. You'd pull up at a camp and you'd have to roll an awning out and get the table out and the chairs and all the stuff and set it up. And then if you were going the next day, you had to pack it all up again and get the ports that go in the front of the ute and all that. Took a heap of fishing gear, didn't catch a fish, didn't even put the bloody lines in. We're too busy buggering around chatting to people. Found people that watch Bundy Bear's Shed in probably 4 or 5 places. Camped next to a fella at Punson Bay, and he said, "Oh, what's your show?" That's bloody funny. And the LSA oil rep, Steve, that set up our LSA sponsorship, bugger me, he rolls into camp. "What are you fellas doing here?" So he's retired now, but him and his wife up there. And yeah, I was getting shit from Mick and Dave because very first day we call into Barra Crab and this bloke, Barry, walks up and says, "G'day Lance, how you going?" "Oh, Bundy Bear." And he starts chatting away and they're saying, here we go. And so the first 2 or 3 days we had a bit of that just because of the areas we're in. People seem to know us. And I got Bundy Bear Shed on the ute too, so they all knew. So, but yeah, look, great trip. I spent the last 3 days just cleaning the ute, polishing the ute. All the door jambs have had a cut and polish and getting the red dirt out of the seams and the armour awling, the mirrors and the snorkel and all that. I'm still yet to service it. I've let all the tyres down. I got the back off. Got the spare on the back of the ute. I had to go to town and pick up some boxes. But I've mainly been working on the ute, just packing up from our trip away this weekend. No tractor work, and look, probably won't be until next weekend. Today the plan is to give the old ute an oil change. It had one just before we left, but just in case any dirt got in I'm not aware of and that, we're going to do all fuel filters, air cleaner, engine oil filters. We went through a couple of water crossings that were only, perhaps as high as wouldn't have been as high as our top of the tyres. So, but I've got diff breathers and all in. I've got transfer case breathers, diff breathers, gearbox breathers and all that up high, so they shouldn't have sucked any water in. But yeah, we've done about 37,000 kilometres on the ute now, and I'll give it a service now and I'll give it another one at 40 and then we'll go back onto our annual oil change, or not annual but to our normal schedule for oil changes. So see how we go. But yeah, that's it. I've taken the canopy off now, set the ute back up for work, and I've still got a bit of clean up to do, which I want to clean the ute up because one of those things, if you leave it in 3 months' time, you'll still be looking at that red dirt there and the red dirt there, and it's worth a lot of money, and I want to keep that ute for a long time, so I should be looking after it. So there you go. That's about, pardon me. So there you go, that's a bit of a roundup of the trip. Yeah, had a great time. You might be wondering why we didn't upload much video. Well, there's just no phone service. Like, we had a cell-fi go, so I had probably a metre high aerial on top of the ute. A lot of places there was just no service, just nothing. And if there was, if you come into a town where there was a bit of service, there'd be a bit of 3G and you could check a couple of emails, but that was it. I put out a short in Weeper, a couple of shorts in Weeper, but after that there was just no service. At Punson Bay you could pay $5 for Wi-Fi access for 2 hours, and you had 5 megabyte download, 2 megabyte upload, so no use doing videos with that. Where else were we? Somewhere else. Moreton Station, we stayed at Moreton Telegraph Station. You could buy 24 hours for $5 there, but same thing. They had, I think it was 3 or 5 meg download, 2 meg upload. It just wasn't practical. So yeah, for weeks we had very little phone service. Like if we went through Bamaga or somewhere like that, the phone would click in and your messages are ding, 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 and you know, you'd perhaps ring. I think Jude rang Mum and did a couple of things like that while I was there, but there's just nothing up there. And the signal up there is 3G, and look, it's not real strong. The other thing up north Queensland, they don't spend money on signs. We found a few World War II plane wrecks, and you drive right past them, there's not even a sign, but when you look you can see that someone's been pulling off the road there a bit, and the middle of the tourist area, and there's one at there's an old fuel dump near the Bamaga airport, not a sign. You go out there and there's where all the 44-gallon drums were for World War II in different areas. You know, they spread them out for safety, and then plane at the end of it there, not a sign anywhere. We had to Google it and bug around and just head off down these tracks to find it. And then the ones closer to Bamaga, not a sign anywhere. Yeah, there's wild horses in Bamaga. You know, the Aboriginals just have horses and they just fucking wander everywhere. Yeah. Seisha was a pretty little town. Yeah, talking to the boat driver, he said he was there one day preparing the boat and he saw a big croc. There's a little island out from it, and he was sitting sunning himself over on the bank there, and he said, yeah, he saw him and he come across and he didn't take any notice, and yeah, he grabbed a dog off the beach and took it over, took him under the water and drowned him and took him over the other side to sort him out. So yeah, different stuff. Yeah, on Roko Island, you know where that funny walkway was, just round the corner there's a big fat croc sitting under the mangrove. So yeah, but anyway, good trip. But yeah, that's why there wasn't any videos. It just wasn't practical to do it. So I even gave up filming. I said to Jude, there's no use doing this, like, you know, taking film and all that sort of stuff for a lot of things. I'm not going to have a series of our breakaway. It's sort of done now, and we'll probably hop back into tractors next week perhaps. I've got a bit of tidy up to do and finish the ute and all that. So anyway, look, thanks for stopping by. Bit of a long old yarn, but anyway, I had a bit to tell you. So we'll catch up with you next week. There won't be any midweek videos this week. I just got nothing up the pipeline, but hopefully I can get it a bit organised after work this week, and next weekend we can get in to do a bit of filming. And I've got a bit of catch up to do with Barry's videos and people I follow. I've got a bit of catch up there to do because, you know, we weren't watching YouTube. There was just nothing to watch. It was just nothing. So bit of catch up everywhere. Oh, the new car for the shop's in, and I contacted them as I was coming through Mackay and said, can you invoice us, send us the invoice so we can pay what's owing, and we'll pick it up this week. So they reckon they'd sent the invoice, but it didn't turn up. So they had another go, and the invoice come, and it's got an extra $1,230 something on for a dash cam, which we didn't order. So I've emailed them back and said, look, our order didn't have that on it. We don't want it. And a lady rang me one time and said that I want a dash cam, that I want window tint, that I want paint protection and all that. And I said, no, it's just a company car. We want to get there cheap as possible, none of that. And so I think what they do, they pop these things on, and being a company, they think, oh yeah, the office will just pay that. And so yeah, I'm onto them now to redo the invoice, so we're not paying for it until that happens. So yeah, so we may get that this week. We'll just see what happens there. So, but anyway, look, thanks for dropping by. I'll shut up and have a good week, everyone, and we'll catch you all next week, eh?